Hey everyone, in this video we're going over a generalized full body dynamic warm-up that you can use to help make sure that your muscles, your joints, and your nervous system are all prepped and ready to go before diving into your workout or physical activity. Now if you want to follow along with a visual overview, you can grab the free PDF of all these dynamic warm-ups over on my Buy Me a Coffee page. I'll put a link to that in the description. It's totally free and a great resource to print off and take to the gym with you so you have a great dynamic warm-up routine that you can run through. And if you want all the details pertaining how, why, and when to use dynamic warmups, you can check out the first video in this playlist where I go over all of these facets in detail. All right, so feel free to follow along, and as always, make sure to modify or skip any exercises or movements that don't feel good for you. This routine is generalized, meaning it can and should be modified as needed to help suit your individual needs. Okay, so here we go. Start this dynamic warm-up series by performing approximately 5 minutes of continual low-intensity movement. The goal is to use this movement to begin elevating your heart rate, increasing blood flow throughout your body, preparing your joints, and beginning to increase the sympathetic activity of your nervous system. Now, you can pick a movement of your choice. You can jog or walk on a treadmill. You can use a rowing machine, a stationary bike, an airdyne bike like what I'm using here, or whatever else you have at your disposal. Just lower grade continual movement for about 5 minutes. For jumping jacks, we're just using these to create a little bit more dynamic movement through the body, while we also start to put a little bit of a load through the hips, ankles, and knees with a small jumping motion here. So we're prepping the full body, we're bringing the heart rate up a little bit more, getting the arms to move, and loading up the lower body in preparation for our other movements. Now we're using the split jacks here for the same idea. Again, just putting some movement into the shoulders in a different plane of motion. Same a little bit with the hips, but again, just loading up the hips and knees and ankles a little bit, getting that heart rate up so that as we move into our other movements that are upcoming, we're going to be ready to go. And for hamstring sweeps, you're going to collapse forwards at the waist while you straighten one leg and pull the toes on that leg up towards the ceiling. Collapse forwards there and then sweep on through, and you're going to get a nice gentle little stretch on the hamstrings and the back of the thighs. And you're going to notice here that as I'm doing this, I'm not letting my lower back round a whole lot. I'm trying to keep it more in a neutral position, and that's going to give me a better stretch on the hamstrings. Again, just gentle little stretch on each side as you swoop down. Nothing aggressive here, just enough to feel a short, gentle stretch with each rep. Now for the walkouts, you're going to start from a standing position, then get your hands on the ground, walk into the plank position, and then just walk yourself back up to the full upright position. Now each time you bend forward, try and minimize the amount of bending or rounding in your lower back, if at all possible. Nothing wrong with letting it round a little bit, so long as you have a relatively healthy back with no previous injuries, but get in the habit of minimizing the rounding where possible, and then walk into that plank position, and then if you don't want to return to the full upright position like I'm doing here, just walk your hands back as far as you can, while keeping them on the ground, and then walk back into the plank position. Now you'll notice here what I'm doing is I'm giving myself an extra challenge by walking my hands further out, which is what we call the bridge position, which will challenge my core and my shoulders a little bit more. So you can do a plank position or walk out into the bridge position, and then either walk as far back as you want to and then walk out again, or stand up in between each repetition. Pick what's best for you, and then make sure that you're doing everything with good controlled movement throughout. For the forward-backwards lunge, you're going to drop into a forward lunge and then push yourself back, and then with slow controlled movement, drop into the backwards lunge. Make sure it's slow and controlled. You want to make sure you know exactly where your foot is before you drop down into that backwards lunge, and try and get in the habit of swinging from forwards to backwards without letting your foot rest at the halfway point in between. Now, if it is getting a little bit too tiring, you can rest with that little halfway step in between, but you want to do as many repetitions as you can while keeping that foot from touching at the midway point, and then you're going to switch legs and repeat. Now, the stance leg is going to really light up on the outside hips where the glute medius and glute minimus are, but then the glutes and the quadriceps on the right leg in this case are also going to get a good amount of work with that forward to backwards lunge. And for squats with thoracic spine or T-spine rotations, as we tend to call it, you're going to squat down as low as you can comfortably, and then you're going to reach one arm back to rotate while you take the opposite elbow and drive it into the inside of your knee. And doing so creates a little bit more of a rotational leverage force, so we're going to get a little bit more movement out of the thoracic spine. This is a great movement to do just to open up the hips as we drop down to that deep squat, and then rotate back to mobilize the mid-upper spine, which is what we call the thoracic spine. Now, if you want, you can also just drop down and hold the deep squat as you rotate from one side to the other. It's up to you. Pick what feels best, but as you do this, take note of how it feels from one side of the body to the other as you rotate from left to right. Take note how your shoulders and hips feel, and you should feel everything having to kind of open up and get a little bit more mobility through the mid-upper back, shoulders, and hips. For the world's greatest stretch progression, we got a series of 4 movements that we're going to flow through here, one right into the next. And as we do this, we're just getting a little bit of everything in the lower body, from the hip joints to all the muscles that cross these joints. So it's a full lower body progression. Now we're going to start by going into a big exaggerated lunge and drop the same side elbow down onto the ground, opening up the hips. You're going to really feel the hips open up there, and make sure as you do that you keep the back leg as straight as possible to make the stretch even more pronounced. Again, it should feel comfortable as you do it though. And then from there, after we drop that elbow down, we're going to rotate up so that we're getting some rotational movement through the body. And then the third movement from there, we're going to rock backwards onto our heel on the front leg. So we're going to feel a stretch in the hamstrings. And then the last movement we're going to do is we're going to come out of that, push forward and raise the arms up. So we're in a deep lunge position, kind of going into this overhead arm raise, which we tend to call a warrior pose in something like yoga, stretching the whole front side of the body. So here's what that whole series looks like. We're going to drop down, elbow to ground, rotate up, and then from there we're going to rock back onto the heel, nice little stretch in the hamstring, and then push up and through, and then we're going to stand back up and we're going to repeat. Now you can do all your repetitions on the same side first, or you can do like I'm doing here, alternating side to side. Again, deep lunge, rotate up, rocking back, and then pushing on through. For Spidermans, you're going to start in the plank position like I am here, and then from there, you're going to swing one leg up to the outside of your shoulder, and then as you bring it back to the starting position, you're simultaneously going to swing the other leg up to the outside of the other shoulder, and as you do this, you're going to notice a nice gentle stretch on the inside of the hip and the groin region. Use a range of motion that feels comfortable for you. Don't force anything, but you should be feeling the hips opening up as you're kind of swinging up from one side and then swinging up to the other. For the planks with the arm rotations, you're going to start in the plank position like I'm in right here, and then you're going to rotate up towards the ceiling like that arm is going right up as vertical as possible. Now what you're going to feel here is that you're really loading up the shoulder as it has to support all of your body weight, and this creates what we call co-contraction around the shoulder joint, meaning all the muscles that cross the shoulder are really kind of clamping down and working as a team to keep you stable and support yourself. So this is a great way to warm up and prep the shoulders to make sure they're ready to go for your workout. And for the Hindu push-ups, you're going to start in this plank position here again, and then you're going to rock back into this kind of downward dog position that we sometimes call in yoga, and then we're going to drop down and kind of swoop on through without letting our chest or hips touch the ground. So in that little folded position there, swooping on through, you're going to really feel the upper body on the way down, have to kind of wake up. You're getting your chest muscles and arm muscles to really wake up, and then a nice little gentle stretch on the backside there in that little downward dog or jackknife position. Now, if need be, you can also do this from your knees if it's a bit easier, if you don't quite have the strength to do it from the full body position. So get a padded surface for your knees, and then it's the same motion, slowly swoop on through. Don't let anything touch the ground. But again, you're going to feel the upper body really have to wake up here. It's going to prep the shoulders and the chest, and we're going to get that nice little stretch on the back side of the body as well. So Hindu push-up, whether you want to go full plank or half plank, it's up to you. So there you have it. Now, I have some other generalized dynamic warm-up series that you can use in addition to this one, so if you want to give those a try, check out the other videos in this playlist. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the next video.